Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. We'll let a few people come in and we'll get started shortly. If you guys can see the chat box, go in there and let us know where you're watching from. We would love to hear where you're tuning in from. All right, the chat should be enabled now, so you guys can go into the chat and let us know. All right, awesome. Wow, you guys are all over the place. It's moving so fast. I see Michigan, Houston, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Columbia, Los Angeles, Tampa, Texas. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll let a few more people enter the room and we'll get started in a second. So I just want to let everybody know that we kind of have two separate chats. So we have the regular webinar chat where you guys can just talk and communicate while the event is going on. But if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the Q&A section so that we can find them easily and make sure that we get your question answered. Okay, cool. How about we go ahead and get started? So thanks everybody for joining. Welcome to Vendoo's monthly webinar series. As you may know, we are Vendoo, a seller's best friend. We're your go-to platform for online reselling, and we offer cross-listing to multiple marketplaces, inventory management, profit and revenue tracking, bookkeeping, analytics, and so much more. Just everything that a reseller needs to manage their business across multiple platforms. So if you haven't checked out Vendu yet, you'll learn a lot more about the software throughout this webinar. You'll also learn a good amount about Grailed as well, which is why you're here. So our team works really hard to create content for resellers, including our webinar series. So in this webinar, we want to make sure to get you guys excited about Grailed. A lot of our sellers are really excited about Grailed right now, especially since they've recently expanded to women's categories and women's brands as well. So stay on this call until the end. We'll have some prizes, some games, some giveaways. And we also have a discount code for you guys if you're interested in signing up for Vendu. You can use the code Grailed40. So I'll go ahead and put that in the chat so you can see it. And that code will give you 40% off your first month of Vendu just from attending this webinar. So make sure to write that down. I'll say it a few more times before the call is over, but that's definitely the coupon code that you're going to want to use to sign up. That coupon code does not work for existing subscribers. Unfortunately, it's just for first-time signups. All right, so with us today, we have Sarah and Adam from Grailed. We're really happy to have them and thank them for taking their time to join us on this webinar. So first, can you guys just introduce yourselves a little bit, tell us what you do at Grailed, and then we'll get started. I guess, Sarah, you can go first.
Sure. Thanks for having us. I'm Sarah. I'm the Associate Director of Business Development at Grailed. What my team does is we focus on bringing in new sellers to the platform, and then after onboarding, we ensure success of our sellers. So any of you on this call could hear from us in the future. I've been with Grailed for about 6 months.
Hey, I'm Adam. I'm a longtime power seller on Grailed. I worked as a product authenticator for Grailed for about 5 years before joining the trust and safety team. Now I just focus on keeping Grailed a safe place for all our users.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So I guess we can go ahead and get right into it. So you guys can take turns telling us a little bit about Grailed. Just give us some of the basics, like what do sellers need to know?
Cool. I'll take this first one. So Grailed is a peer-to-peer marketplace. We launched in 2013. We started initially as a menswear platform with a heavy focus on streetwear and luxury. Over the years, we've expanded offerings to include a wider range of designers and categories, and most recently launched our women's wear category, like you mentioned, Josh, which is really exciting. And we now have over 10 million sellers and buyers that are all over the world and over 4.7 live listings on the platform.
Awesome. Yeah. So I've been a reseller for a long time, and Grailed is my primary marketplace just because of the menswear categories that you guys have always had. I believe I started on Grailed in like 2015. So to see how the platform has grown is really cool. And to see you guys now expand into women's is also amazing. So I guess I can throw this one to Adam. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the top selling brands and categories on Grailed?
Sure, yeah, let me get the list real quick. Did you already have it pulled up, Sarah?
Yeah, I can take this one on too. So we do have our categories that we're selling really well right now are along with this season, right? So our buyers are looking for cool weather pieces like joggers, down jackets, raincoats, sneakers, hats, all that good stuff. And then with the holiday season coming up, a lot of the giftable pieces are starting to see a higher sell-through rate, such as handbags, sunglasses, belts, scarves, other accessories and things like that. In terms of the brands, so I kind of broke it out a little bit, just depending on what kind of reseller you might be. And so if you're a luxury reseller, the brands that you're going to want to be on the lookout for to resell with us would be Balenciaga, Dior, Chrome Hearts, Gucci, Burberry, Celine, Prada, Moncler, Golden Goose. That's just to name a few. In terms of streetwear, Nike, Off-White, Jordan Brand, Carhartt, Adidas, and Canada Goose sell incredibly well for us. And then in our contemporary or more, I guess, readily accessible items that sell very well for us would be Birkenstock, Ganni, Telfar, Veja, Alo, The North Face, Ray-Ban, New Balance, Doc Martens, Patagonia, Levi's. I could go on probably for the entire time we're chatting, but those are the top ones when you're sourcing inventory for your shop. Be on the lookout for those to list on Grailed.
Yeah, I'm sure most of the people that are watching are familiar with most of those brands. Those seem to be pretty high sellers across most platforms. So it's nothing out of the ordinary than what they're used to.
Yeah, for sure.
Adam, you said you've been a power seller on Grailed for some time. So like what type of items do you sell, or what drew you to Grailed in the first place?
When I first started selling on Grailed, I sold a lot of like Americana, like Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, things like that. But I transitioned into some higher end items, and now I specialize in things like Louis Vuitton, Dior, Gucci. That's what I really am enjoying at the moment, and what I like to sell.
Awesome. So what would you guys say makes Grailed unique or different from other reseller platforms?
So I think that one of the biggest things that makes us unique is that it's in our name. So the Grailed came from us giving buyers access to their grails. So you can find one of a kind, really hard to find fashion pieces that you can't find anywhere else. A lot of archival runway items that are typically not sold on a peer-to-peer marketplace. And so whether it's a one-of-one Chrome Hearts piece or a perfectly worn vintage tee, we truly are a platform for people's personal style.
Cool. What about you, Adam? What do you think makes Grailed different than some of the other platforms?
Just kind of what Sarah said, the wide variety of things you can get. You can hop on Grailed, you could buy a really high-end piece, something you can't find elsewhere, or you can, grab some basics, some essentials, and things like that.
Awesome. So if I was just getting started on Grailed, if I'm a new seller, are there any special requirements to make a Grailed account?
There are not. We do have two things to consider though when you're signing up. We do have added security measures to keep your account safe. So you do two-factor authentication right when you're first creating the account, and then you should be good to go for the duration of your logged in state. And we just do that to make sure that no one else can access your account. There's important private information that is kept there. And then you do need an active PayPal account to sell. So while we do have other ways for buyers to pay you when you're selling on the platform, we just launched Grailed Payments, which is a collaboration we have with Stripe, where buyers can pay with a debit card or Apple Pay or however they want to pay you. But we do utilize PayPal as one of our main forms of payment. So you do have to have an active account.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So seems pretty simple to sign up. What's the listing process like on Grailed? We know a lot of these marketplaces have just forms with drop down fields or fill in the blanks. So what's the Grailed process like?
Yeah, so pretty similar. We wanted to make the listing process really quick and easy, especially for those that have a lot of inventory to list. So a few things to note are your items will be categorized by designer and category and subcategory. So think Levi's, then your category is pants, and then your sub is jeans. And then once you load all of your item specifics in, you choose your shipping. So you have the opportunity to use Grailed labels, which is our native shipping process. So you can, if you are domestic and you're sending it to a domestic buyer, you can use it where it automatically generates a label for you to print at home. And then, or you can choose your own shipping. Once you hit submit, your item goes to our moderator queue for review and publishing. So what that means is we specialize in digital authentication. So be sure that when you are listing an item, especially those in the luxury category, Chanel or Louis Vuitton or Maz, things like that, that you have really great photos of your pieces. So the reason you want to is because it'll go through the queue faster. So if you have a serial number missing from your Chanel bag, or not enough photos for our moderator to authenticate it digitally, they will kick it back to you. We'll help you the entire way. So they'll kick it back to you and they'll give you everything that they need to help you get it published. It's usually within 24 hours. And then all you have to do is go back into the app or to the web and upload the additional photo and hit submit. When that happens, when your item does go through the queue and it's reviewed by a moderator, you do get the authenticated badge, which is across your listing page photo. And then also it's like on the right side of the listing page. And it really is a great confidence builder for a buyer. And then in addition to that, we also have the opportunity to tag your inventory. So it gets in front of the right buyer pool. We have a lot of buyers who search via our hashtags. So some tips there are to provide elements directly related to the item, style, materials, genres, trends. And this one is kind of fun, famous moments. So if you have an item that a celebrity wore, tag the celebrity, because we actually have a lot of users who search via that. We had I think it was a Kim Kardashian pair of leather pants the other day that sold really quickly because the seller had tagged Kim Kardashian or worn by Kim Kardashian, and so someone looked it up and found it. It's also fun as just a user to scroll through them and see kind of what fun things you can find.
I've never done that. I've never tagged like the celebrity that wore it. Sometimes I'll find a picture on Google Images or something like that, and I'll include that picture of them wearing it in my listing, but I never thought to include it as a keyword or a hashtag.
Yeah, you should. I think it's, or even another example would be if you were listing an off-white item, you could tag Virgil Abloh so that it's not, someone might search his name versus off-white and things like that.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. That makes sense. So sticking kind of on the same question, I want to pitch it to Adam. You were talking about how the authentication process works. Are there certain brands that get authenticated automatically, or how do you guys decide what items go through that authentication process and which ones don't?
Yeah, I mean, just about everything will go through a review. Different items will have different processes, depend on the risk level. There's some brands that are obviously like Louis Vuitton, Chanel. Those are things that we're going to take a close look at and make sure everything's good to go with them. So, if you're listing Ralph Lauren, it might not go through as serious as a process, but everything is going to be reviewed and whatnot.
Are there ever situations where your team is unsure about an item's authenticity?
No. If anyone has any doubts, we'll send the listing back to the seller and ask for additional photos till we can make a full decision. Okay,
cool. That's good to know. So if I'm selling on Grailed, what are the seller fees like? Let's say I make a sale for $100. What do I expect to pay in fees?
We're only taking 9%. So our fees are super competitive. It's 9%, and then the payment processing fees, which go directly either to PayPal or to Stripe. And so it's for US buyers or sellers, I believe it's like 2.9% now with PayPal. Stripe, I think, is 3.4%. And so also we're really transparent on the platform. So once you sell an item, you can click on your listing page and it tells you exactly what the breakdown was. So we'll also collect tax on your behalf, so you don't have to worry about sales tax, and that's broken out as well.
Okay, nice. So it seems pretty clean and simple. how does shipping work on Grailed? I was actually going to give a experience that I have with shipping, but I'll wait till after this question and I'll throw it in.
I'd love to hear about your experience. So you just have to ship within 7 days. So the earlier that you ship, the better. As funds are released to your PayPal or bank account, as soon as tracking is added, which is fantastic. You don't have to wait until the buyer gets it and accepts it. You don't have to wait until it goes to a third-party authentication warehouse or anything like that. So if you use Grailed labels, it's really fast because we have created the shipping label for you. And then if you create your own shipping label, just if you ship within a few days, it does get released quickly. And the one caveat that I will say is that you do have to ship within 7 days, because if you don't ship within 7 days, we will release the funds back to the buyer. If you are in a situation where you can't ship, we have 2 situations that can help you. Either we have vacation mode, so you can still accept you can still accept sales, but it won't get refunded to the buyer, or you can request more time.
Okay, got it. So yeah, I was just going to mention that it's not a bad experience or anything. I was going to say before I used to ship everything myself, and I love the the Grailed label feature where you guys generate the label for me as soon as the sale is made. So once that that transaction happens, another great thing that you guys have is that the offers are binding. So when someone makes an offer for your item, the sale process is immediately, all the information shows up right away, and then that label is created right away. So that helps me to kind of stay on top of those sales really quickly and not have to go do it and then come back to the platform. So that's something that's really easy, that's on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's get down to the good stuff. This is the stuff that people really want to know. So what are your best tips for selling on Grailed? How do you get on Grailed and really kill it? Adam, you said you're a power seller, so maybe we can start with you on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say do your best to stand out. Think of your Grailed page as your own little online store. Maybe you have a theme or an aesthetic you're going for. You definitely want to come with some quality items, desirable items. Those are what's going to do best for you. And then, of course, be kind, be professional, and most importantly, be knowledgeable. Know what you're selling, be able to answer customer questions, and that knowledge will transfer over into conversation with the customers, which might develop a relationship and future business.
Got it. So do you think, just from your opinion, because I know all sellers are different, but do you think it's better to specify or have specific type of items on your store? Let's say just you only sell vintage tees, or you only sell sneakers or handbags, or do you think it's okay to sell all kinds of different items? Do you think that benefits you in one way or another?
I think that they both have their positives. If you focus on one thing, you can be a good source for a bunch of different customers who, maybe if you're focusing on vintage, they would come to your page to buy their vintage pieces. But if you have everything, you could get a bunch of different types of customers, and maybe you'll get them into different styles they didn't know that they're into before.
Yeah, I was curious because I sell a lot of different categories, but sometimes the pages that I favorite and follow are people that specialize in something specific. If there's a certain type of vintage tee that I like and they always have my size, I might follow them to keep updated on their releases. But I do think having a variety of items on your page is good as well, just because one item might bring someone to your store and then they'll see a lot of other things that they didn't know they were looking for. So yeah, you're right. I think it could work both ways. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I have sorry to interrupt. I have menswear and women's wear on my page, and I often find that someone will come on my page and maybe it's a guy and he wants a wallet for himself, and then he'll see a nice purse that he buys for his girlfriend or something like that.
Yeah, I think that from the platform standpoint, a lot of buyers will discover a seller via the listing page. So let's say, Josh, you sell all sorts of different categories. I find you because I searched for a pair of Levi's jeans and it brought me to your listing page. So while I might check out just via listing page, I never make it to your store to see it. I could show up later and then follow you and favorite some of your other items. So I don't think that it's discouraging to have a large variety of categories or different inventory. I think if anything, it would just get more eyes onto your page.
Cool, thank you. So in terms of photos, what should people do with their photos, or what are some good listing practices that you recommend that get the best results on the platform?
I would say that consistency creates credibility. You definitely want detailed photos. Consistent backgrounds are huge. It'll make your page look really nice. And when it comes to the listings, keep them organized, keep them consistent, have a consistent layout in your descriptions. Maybe at the bottom, after you describe the item, have a little bit of information about your store, shipping practices, things like that. And I would also say make sure you price your items with offers in mind. A lot of buyers like to negotiate on Grailed, and having a little wiggle room in your price will make someone feel like they got a good deal.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip. Most of the sales I make are based on offers. So I kind of do take that into consideration and price things slightly higher just to give myself some room to give that person a good deal, or at least meet them halfway, or a little wiggle room. So you mentioned with the photos, just having consistent backgrounds is good. I know some marketplaces say that they prefer like white backgrounds, but do you think a white background would make a difference as opposed to just something else clean and simple?
A white background definitely looks professional, but if you have like a nice layout and something that's appealing to the eye, I think it can be even better, and develop a nice theme or aesthetic for your store.
Cool. Sarah, did you want to add anything on that one?
Yeah, we haven't noticed any sort of change in a buyer behavior based off of like a dynamic background. So maybe on a brick wall or even concrete or anything like that versus a white background. I think the one thing that I would say is I would try to have like a clean space. So nothing that could distract the buyer from the item that they're purchasing on the picture.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. So, and you guys can definitely keep writing your questions in the Q&A. I've seen some of them come in, but we'll get to all of those. We'll have a section at the end where we'll go through some of those questions. So if you have them, keep writing them in the Q&A section. So, how do you feel sellers can best maximize exposure and bring buyers to their Grailed listings?
I would say take advantage of the 7-day bump feature. So every 7 days, you're able to bump your item to the top of the feed, which will just give it some additional exposure. You also want to take advantage of price drops. Every time you drop your item in price 10% or greater, it'll be bumped to the top of the feed, and all of the people who liked your item will be notified that happened. And that could be the difference between making a sale or not. And then Sarah touched on a little bit before, but listing tags, those are huge. Just adding a couple tags to your item will get you an additional search results. And you can also promote your Grailed on your social media. I found, posting an item, while someone who sees the item might not buy that specific item, might lead them to my Grailed page where they find something else that they like.
Definitely. So, you mentioned the feed. So on Grailed, when you log in, they're going to show you some items that they think are good fits for you. How does Grailed curate that feed? And are there any ways that you think that feed could be utilized better for, like, the sellers could take advantage of that feed? Like you said, bumping items to the top, but is it just chronological, or how does that work?
Depends on the user. So if a user has used our personalization, which I highly suggest that every user does, you can set your preferences based off of size, designer, seller even. So if you follow a seller, those items will show up in your feed naturally. And kind of, I think that's, yeah. And then also I think like seasonality too. So you can pick like pants or jackets or whatever that you want to have show up on your feed. So that's one way that the feed shows up. If it's a new user and they haven't personalized yet, it will default to trending. So those pieces that have a lot of likes, that have gotten a lot of clicks from our users, will show up that way. Or you can choose in the drop down to filter your feed by newest or oldest or search high to low, things like that. I would say that if a seller wanted to take advantage of the feed, I would say that doing what you can to get more likes to your page. So once you have, if a seller has a great transaction with you and they're happy with their purchase, invite them to come back and like your page so that your feed shows up again. I think that it's like any sort of self-promotion would be helpful so that you can do that. And then also we keep talking about the tags, but that actually makes a huge difference too in the feed.
All right, got it. So make sure you guys take notes of that. Encourage people to follow your store, to like your store, like items that you're selling, so that those future items that you're listing will start to show up on people's feeds a little bit more. Do you guys have any other inside tips or tricks for Grailed sellers?
I don't have any secret tips or anything, but I'll say that if you price your items competitively and you provide a good service to your customers, that you will be successful.
Definitely agree with that one, Adam. And I think the only things that I will add, and I think that this is true for most peer-to-peer marketplaces, is that the more that you engage on the platform, the more successful you'll be. So answering questions quickly, utilizing the seller tools that we have provided. So in addition to price dropping and the bumping feature, we also have buyer and seller initiated offers. So if you have your offers turned on your listing page, you are 10 times more likely to make a sale. And then in addition to that, you can also send out offers to those that have liked your listing. I believe that you can send 4 in a month, so long as it's more than 10% off the last offer.
Got it. Okay, cool. So I had another question. I just blanked on it, but I'll come back to it in a second. So this is a good time. We're pretty much at the halfway point. If you guys aren't Vendu users already and you're interested in signing up, we have a code which is Grailed40. I'll put that in the chat again for you guys, that you can use when you're creating your Vendu account to get 40% off your first month of service. And we're only giving out that code in this webinar, so it's just for you guys. So make sure to take advantage of that. So I will go ahead and move us towards here's my question before we go into the Q&A. So I know that for sellers, there's some badges that can be added to your profile that are kind of like credibility factors or whatever that help a little bit with buyer confidence. So can you tell us about those badges, what they mean, and why you should obtain them?
Sure. So a speedy shipper is exactly what it sounds like. So if you ship within 3 business days, and a quick responder is also what it sounds like. So if you respond, I believe within 1 business day consistently. And then we have the trusted seller badge, which is automatically awarded to you after 20 successful sales. And then we do have a Grailed verified badge, which is reserved for I think our top like 2% of sellers that you are automatically pulled into once you have a baseline of sales and feedback. Okay,
cool. Are there any levels that you can tell us what they are, just so that people can know what to aim for to get into that top 2%?
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't talk GMV or metrics that way, but I would just say, I think that we had for the feedback to maintain a feedback score of 4.9 or above.
Okay. All right. I think I'm there. So let's talk after this.
Oh, let's talk after this, Josh. I will be happy to look at your account.
Awesome. Okay. So we're going to get to some trivia and prizes, but before that, let's take a couple questions from the Q&A box. I'll scroll back up a little bit so we can get some of these earlier ones. So Aaron asked, if a brand is not recognized on Grailed, does it mean it's not allowed, or should we use other as the brand?
Yeah, it does not mean it's not allowed. So please feel free to use other. We do have some other kind of drop downs as well. You can tag something if it's vintage and doesn't have a designer. Obviously, vintage is a designer that's accepted. The one caveat that I will say is that you can put a request in to have a designer added. So feel free at any time to do that. So that if you notice that there are a lot of listings that are a great designer that we may have missed that is showing up as other, you can send it over to us and we can add it in.
Perfect. Got it. So suggest things. If the brand that you're looking for is not on there, suggest that to the Grailed team and they'll get that updated for you guys. Here's another good question. So how do we go about listing items that are authentic or legitimate, but they might have damaged tags? So sometimes it might be a vintage item or a vintage designer item, and those tags or labels might be damaged. What should a seller do in that scenario?
We do have moderators that specialize in vintage or even over older archival pieces. So do the best that you can, post as many pictures as you can. And then if a moderator kicks them back to you and gives you notes for it, then upload any additional photos. We know that, vintage Gucci doesn't have serial numbers if it's older than a certain year. And the Chanel serial number has changed so many times over the years. And so we do have moderators that specialize in those.
Okay, cool. So we know that on the Grailed listing form, there's a space for measurements. How important are measurements on Grailed, and does it make a difference if the measurements are included in the description versus in the actual measurement fields?
We have found that so long as the user is rating your listing page, then you should be fine. If you don't have listing measurements anywhere, you might get a measurement request from a seller or from a buyer that's going to ask you to take measurements. And I would always err on the side of adding them in. Just in the description is fine. If you already have your description created, especially if you're coming over from Vendu and you're cross-posting, that works out just fine as well.
Awesome. Here's a question about shipping. Do Grailed labels offer shipping protection?
Yes, it's via USPS. So it's the same sort of insurance that USPS offers. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's see some other questions in here. Some of these might have gotten answered already. Someone said, any chance of one word tags changing? It's my most time consuming cross-posting issue with Grailed. I have to edit all my tags for Grailed because of this restriction. So I think she's mentioning the fact that all the tags have to be one word. You can't have like multi-word or multi-phrase keywords.
You can if they're typed as one word. So Mandy, not right now, but we will take it back to the product team and let you know if that's something that we can change in the future. That's a really good call out. That's not something that I would have thought of coming over from another platform.
Cool. And then someone asked about the ideal aspect ratio for photos on Grailed. So do you square? Do you think like landscape, portrait? What do you think performs the best?
Adam, I'll let you take that one.
Personally, I use square. I don't know the numbers for the aspect ratio, but it's the standard iPhone photo fits extremely well too.
Okay, in the square format, right?
Yeah, the square format or just like the traditional option as well.
So just okay, perfect. Sounds good. Someone asked, are returns allowed?
It's up to you. So you can make your items final sale. You can accept returns however you want to do it. And how they work is you would work with I saw the next question. How returns work is that you would work directly with your buyer just to accept the return and then refund them via their form of payment. So either via Stripe or PayPal.
Okay. So someone says, does accepting an offer from a potential buyer mean the shipping is paid by the seller?
Yes, it is binding. So everything is included. So when you are accepting offers or sending offers out, consider the shipping price. Make sure that you tack it on.
Okay. And that's kind of the same for the next question says buyer paid or seller paid Grailed labels. So I guess that's a similar answer.
Yeah, if you are charging shipping, then the buyer pays it. But if you're offering free shipping on any of your items, then that's something that you would pay for.
Okay. So does Grailed collect import duties and taxes for international sales?
Yes, we do. That's not anything that a seller would have to worry about. So if you register on Grailed as with your international VAT, then we wouldn't collect it for you. But if you are not and you're just selling part-time internationally, then that's something that we would take care of for you.
Okay, perfect. What is Grailed doing to get more buyers onto the platform?
Oh my gosh, so much. We use Google Shopping. We just launched Pinterest ads. We do a lot of social media ads to Instagram, Facebook. Josh and I earlier were talking about our billboards that are in New York and Los Angeles right now. We have a lot. We put a lot of effort into our women's wear launch, which was officially about a month ago. So we're working very hard to get a lot of new eyes on those really special pieces that we've launched with.
Amazing. Okay, so this is another photo question. So do hanger, flat lay, or model photos perform the best on Grailed?
We haven't noticed. I would say if you have access to models, use them. I think anything where there's like a fit pick or anything like that that will show the way that the item fits is great. If you don't have an option for a model, then I would say a flat lay would be a great second option. But all of them are great. Just like we kind of mentioned earlier, even if you use a dynamic background, just make sure it's clean. Otherwise, white is great.
Okay. Here's another really good question that I wanted to touch on earlier, so I'm glad Aaron put it here in the chat. But Grailed is one of the platforms, or one of the only platforms I can think of that allows you to put multiple brands. And I'm sure you guys do that to account for collaborations and things like that. So is it a good practice to use, for example, Nike, vintage, streetwear, like to use multiple brands together?
My only suggestion with that is that you use the actual designer first. So if you have a vintage Nike tee, put Nike X vintage, not vintage X Nike. Otherwise, it could get lost in the shuffle. So just make sure it's brand first and then descriptive, like adjective after. So streetwear or anything like that. They do well, but it's definitely not not something that's necessary.
Okay, got it. So the main brand first and the secondary brand second. Okay, that's good.
I would be sure that it's relevant as well. Like if it's a brand new item from last year, I wouldn't put vintage on it, or a buyer may be confused.
Exactly.
Definitely. And just for those that are listening, vintage is considered 20 years or older.
Exactly.
On the current date. All right. So does Grailed have any plans to offer free bank transfers for seller earnings, similar to the way Poshmark does?
Right now, the option for bank transfers is via Stripe. So if you are set up for Grailed payments as a seller, then and a buyer uses Grailed payments, then it will be transferred to you automatically via ACH. But we don't have, we're different in that Poshmark, I believe, functions as the bank, and then they release it to you. But we do use Stripe as of right now for our form of an ACH transfer.
Okay, cool. Does the feed favor recent listings, sellers with large numbers of listings, or sellers who list daily, or is there any type of rhyme or reason to that?
So the feed is actually unique to each user. So it depends on what the user's preferences are, if they've added if they've selected the designers that they're looking for and things like that. But if it's a default feed, then it will go to the trending one. So we'll do the ones with the large number of likes, not anybody with a large number of listings or sellers who list daily. It will be the trending feed is what the default one is.
Okay, cool. This is probably a good question for people that are determining when to list or when to. On Vendu, obviously, we have a delist and relist feature that allow our users to put items up that are stale. And some people try to take advantage of certain times of day. So are there any times that you guys know that users are the most active on the Grailed platform?
We have, yes. So interestingly enough, we are the busiest during the week. And so I would say that if you are going to list, I would do it midweek. And so to get your items up and ready for shoppers that are perhaps slacking off at work or scrolling the feed on the couch in the evenings, that's when we typically see the most sales and the most engagement happen is during the week.
I typically get the most engagement when I list late at night, or when I send offers late at night, like maybe 11 p.m. or something like that. I'm on the East Coast, so I guess it's late in both coasts. So it gives you a wide range of people that might be on the couch in front of the TV scrolling, or you can catch some people in those impulse buys at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had luck listing in off hours, since a lot of other sellers aren't. So if it's late at night and you put an item up, maybe those people who are up shopping Grailed late at night would see it, since there's not too many other sellers posting at that time.
Yeah, I'm guilty of shopping late at night, so I can imagine a lot of people do that the same way. Do you guys have any plans for an Android app for Grailed?
We did have one and it was sunsetted. I will bring that back to the product team as well and say that there are new requests for one.
Okay, cool. Well, since there's not a Grailed Android app at the moment, we do have a Vendu Android app that will allow you to list your items to Grailed and manage your Grailed listings. So make sure to go in your Google Play Store and download the Vendu Android app, and that'll help you manage your Grailed account until they get their Android app up and running.
Love that.
Shameless plug. So can you just clarify a little bit more about how the offers to likers work?
Yeah, Adam, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. It's just a button you press where you're able to set an offer as long as it's 10% or less, and it'll send it out to all the people who've liked your item. There's not, too much more to it.
Okay. And then is there a certain time period between being able to send one offer and the next? Do you have to wait a certain amount of time? Or is the only stipulation that the next offer has to be more than 10% less than the last one?
I'm not so sure about the time period. I would definitely, wait a little bit to let that offer sit in and make sure that everyone sees it and has an opportunity to buy if they're interested at that price. But I know you can send the offer 4 times as long as it's 10% less than the previous offer.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any listing fees when you're listing items to Grailed?
No, just when you sell the item. So just the straight 9%.
Okay, perfect. Someone said, when I report a scammer, I always get an email for a screenshot. I'll be adding intimate and swim categories for, sorry. So I just wanted to understand the question better. So I guess they have to provide more information when they are reporting someone as scamming.
No, thank you for reporting them. We typically act very quickly, especially Adam's on the trust side. So he knows this very, very well, how quickly we act on any scammer or any reporting done by our users. We put a lot of value in the fact that our community is able to help us capture them quickly.
And any relevant information that you do provide for a report is extremely helpful, even if it's just a screenshot with their username.
Yeah, Grailed is really quick. Like if someone sends you like one of those spammy kind of messages, Grailed generally within like a few minutes you'll see that account has been banned or canceled. And I know you guys monitor the chats in some type of way, and I guess those type of messages get flagged or brought to your attention.
We do, and sometimes a report can happen faster than we could get to it. So that's why we do invite users to also report it for us. Okay,
perfect. How do you guys work through issues with buyers claiming fraud through their bank?
Well, we do Grailed protection. So we have, first of all, if it's with PayPal, you would work directly with PayPal if there's a claim that's opened, and you provide any information that's helpful to your case. We can help you along the way as well. So if you need screenshots of anything that's helpful for you, we had a situation happen a few weeks ago where we helped a seller out that the buyer did positive feedback. They received the item, they signed for it, and then they called fraud. And so we helped supply them with everything that they needed. And then we also do have Grailed protection that you would work with our support team on, where we would make you whole again if there was a situation where we were at fault for you being falling victim to a fraudulent purchase.
Perfect. Okay, so we had another question. Do you guys, I know you just opened up to women's, you have a lot of women's brands and categories there, but do you plan on expanding to swimwear for women or intimates?
We're definitely open to it. I think that everything right now, a workaround, if you wanted to list it, you could list it under bodysuits in women's tops. We're definitely open to it. I will take this back to our merchandising team and see kind of what the timeline is for it, but it's not something that we're against.
Okay, perfect. And then we have another person that said, I list everything on Grailed that I list everywhere else, but I can't seem to get my Grailed shop to pop. Are there any unique differences or practices that I'm not doing that I should be?
Adam, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I would say maybe if things aren't going well now, to try to change things up, do what you can to stand out. Maybe test some new inventory, drop your prices. Like I said, just change things up, try to do something differently, see if it helps.
I would definitely second the dropping your prices. So if you need to change the calculations and how you price your items onto Grailed, do that so that you can drop your prices. That's something that our buyers look for. I think that that's a very common thing in peer-to-peer marketplaces. Everyone's looking for a deal. So if your buyer thinks they're getting a deal, then that's a surefire way for your items to pop in. It also makes it very obvious that you've dropped your prices. So the full price is in black, and then once you've dropped the price, it's slashed out in red, which is great.
All right, so we have a couple Vendu related questions here. So I'm just going to give a quick Vendu overview for the people that might not be familiar with Vendu and exactly what we do. So I mentioned at the beginning that Vendu is a business management site for online resellers, and we allow you to manage your business and your inventory across multiple marketplaces online. So the ways we do that are by offering you quick and easy cross-posting. So we've taken all of the marketplace forms that ask you the same repetitive information, title, price, description, those type of things, and we condense them down into one form that you can fill out on our site, and that helps you list your items to those other marketplaces a lot quicker. We also give you inventory management that allows you to organize all those items across these different platforms. You can sort and filter them. You can create whatever type of inventory management system that you need to stay organized, but have that all in one place. And then we also give you data and analytics, profit and revenue, and a lot of your numbers in visual charts and graphs, so you can see how your business is performing. So we'll show you a breakdown, like pie charts and different graphs of your top performing categories, top performing brands, average sale price per marketplace, your breakdowns of revenue and profit for the month, your listing activity, just different things that you can use to kind of see your business visually, take some information from it, and invest back to grow. I was also asked what platforms can we cross post to on Vendu. So we now have integrations with eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Mercari, Grailed, Depop, Tradesy, which is in the process of changing to Vestiaire. We also have Citizen, Shopify, and Facebook Marketplace. So we have 10 marketplaces there. Today we're focusing on Grailed specifically, but we do have some other platforms. So if you sell on any of those other platforms, you can easily import your items into Vendu and get those posted over to Grailed, and we can definitely help you do that. So if you're considering getting started on Grailed, using Vendu's import feature might be a really good and easy way to do that. All right, so we have some questions here for the Q&A. And before I get to the Q&A, we've been running a listing giveaway for Grailed for the past few weeks since the beginning of November. Have you guys entered that giveaway? All you had to do was list some items to Grailed this month. You would get one raffle entry for each listing. Let me know in the chat if you've listed some items, and if so, how many? At least 40, 46, 5, about 100. Okay, nice. So as you guys know, the winner of this giveaway is going to receive a beautiful Balenciaga shopper tote bag that's been curated by the Grailed team. So we'll be announcing that just in a few minutes. So hopefully it's one of you lucky people here in the chat. We've had a lot of entries, over I think 650 or so entries. So I hope the luck is in you guys' favor. All right. So let's do a little bit of trivia. So 3 winners, we're going to do 3 questions. For those winners, you guys are going to win a Vendu merch pack and also a free month of Vendu service. So when you put the answer to your questions in the chat, put your email address with the answer already as well. So like answer the question, also include your email so that we can reach out to you and let you know that you won and get in contact with you for your information. So this is going to go to the fastest finger. So you guys got to be ready. Whoever types it first in the chat, Sarah and Adam will help me look at the chat to see who answered the questions first. But for the first question, in what year did Grailed launch? You guys are quick. This is crazy.
You're speedy.
All right, let me scroll up.
It looks like it's Amy.
Okay, so we got Amy here. We need so Amy. I guess, how do you pronounce that? Cicioni is our winner for that question. So congratulations, Amy. We need your email address as well, though. So make sure you send it. Perfect. We got our email address down here. So Sarah, if you can grab that for me. Awesome, Amy. So we'll reach out to you to get your mailing address, and we'll send you a Vendu merch pack, and we'll also get you set up with a free month of Vendu service. All right. So for the second question, this one should be pretty easy. So I'm interested to see how fast the chat moves. Where is the Grailed headquarters?
Autumn. Wow, that was fast.
Really fast.
Yeah.
All right. So Autumn Holmes, it looks like you were first on that one. So you're really quick. Congratulations to Autumn Holmes. We'll grab your name and your email and we'll reach out to you after this event. And for the next question, what year did Grailed launch its women's categories? This is incredible.
Erica
Schroll. All right. So congratulations, Erica. It looks like Rob was like second place on 2 different questions. Sorry, Rob.
All right, Rob.
Okay, congratulations. All right. So we are going to go ahead and do the Balenciaga bag giveaway raffle. So I hope the winner is here in the chat. If not, we will reach out to him or her. So let's get a little drum roll. I wish I could win this bag. The winner for the Balenciaga bag is Teresa Blanchett, and her email is creativestroke.creations@gmail.com. So Teresa Blanchett, hopefully you're here. I'll put that name in the chat. Congratulations, Teresa. That's awesome. Do we have the picture of the bag, or do you have the bag, Sarah, so we can show them?
The bag is in New York City and I am in Phoenix, so I don't have it. Otherwise, I don't trust myself that I wouldn't take it around for a spin because it's a great bag. So no, I don't have it.
Okay, well, congratulations, Teresa. You guys that entered the raffle saw the bag on the email that we sent out. We had a nice picture of the bag right in the email. So thanks for everybody for attending. Before we go, I just want to add a few more things. So I want to thank the Grailed team for joining us today and taking some time to give us a little bit of insight about their platform. So we really appreciate it, Sarah and Adam. Thanks to you guys for joining and asking great questions and being so interactive in the chat. Once again, if you're not a Vendu user, remember to use the code Grailed40. That'll give you 40% off your first month of Vendu service. We also here at Vendu have a lot of really good resources for resellers that you guys can take advantage of completely free. We have a Facebook group that we do a lot of reselling conversation. We also talk about our software, new features, and things that we're working on. So you can join that Facebook group. It's called Vendu, a seller's best friend. We also have a blog on our website. So if you go to vendu.co, you can visit our blog. We write really informative articles, multiple per week, with all types of a large variety of reseller related topics that can help you in your business. We also have a YouTube channel where we do the same thing. We create a lot of in-house content, and we also have other resellers throughout the industry that create content for us. If you want to watch the recording of this demo, if you want to watch the recording of this webinar, that'll be up on our YouTube channel, most likely tomorrow morning. And we just want to thank everybody once again for joining. So thank you and have a great night. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.